can make Alex Padilla forcibly kneel before this executive, when does it stop? He's a United States senator. And if you could force him to kneel to his knees violently, when does it stop? What does it say to other Americans who want to speak up? What does it say to other Americans that want to exercise their constitutional duty? What does it say to other Americans this weekend when they want to peacefully protest? What does it say to other Americans from humble backgrounds who know poverty? That if a United States senator who stands up to do his job can be made to heel, driven to his knees, violently handcuffed, what does it say? What message does it send? Everybody in this body should see that this is a crossroads. They treated a member of the United States Senate violently after he identified himself, dragged him out of a room, threw him upon the ground, and put him in handcuffs. Every member of this body should object to that. Why? Because the statement was that he was disrespectful. That is unacceptable. That is offensive. That is un-American. When you drive a man to his knees in the United States of America, that is wrong, that is wrong, that is wrong. This is a test. This is a crossroads. This is a day in which the character of this body will be defined.
I think clap talking would have made that a little bit better.
The spin on that one just had my chair going. I couldn't believe it. Wow.
So, that was strategically planned. Go ahead.
Well, dude, so first of all, check it out. Butterbean Hakeem Jeffries, which is, I know this Cory Booker, but anyways, he nailed it when he says he was kicked out of that congressional thing because he was being disrespectful, and that is unacceptable. He was right. It's unacceptably disrespectful. So he kind of he screwed his point up. I would have stood up and be like, yeah, that's right. It was disrespectful. So screw that guy. Cory Booker's on methamphetamine.
The timing when he did this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say that again.
It was almost like it was the same thing as the pimp cane guy. Remember the guy with the pimp cane? He did he did that same thing. Remember the pimp cane guy? He was like, and they were like, they booted him. Yeah, Al Green. Al Green.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was a musician. That musician guy, he was what was it? That was Al Green too. There's two different Al. You had one that his father beat, and then they ended up killing each other, or something. Father killed him, and then you had the Al Green guy with the pimp cane. It's like, but
all I can think
and then
is
it was speculated
that must have got a lot of traction out of doing that in that State of the Union address. When all of the Democrats were so disrespectful, holding up the signs and calling out and that sort of thing, and they must have gotten so much traction with their base that they said, "Oh, this is what we need to keep doing."
Well, they're all trying to emulate the Trump mugshot. That's why they you got Newsom going, arrest me now, because he wants to do the mugshot. We're just going to try to. We're gonna. What the hell's up with that Newsom guy doing that? He does those little things where he kind of brings his hands together and he kind of does that, and then the AOC head bob.
Yeah.
These people are nuts, man. Yeah.
And this weekend did not work out for the Democrats as they had hoped. There wasn't chaos all over from sea to shining sea. There were some few.
Well, there was
this
white dude for Harris ran over a bunch of people.
Yeah, well, it's an isolated incident, but it wasn't like the riotous night after night after night in Minnesota, which burned down damn near the whole entire city. It wasn't like the whole entire summer. They expected to be lots of fires, to be, all over the place. There was enough agitation, but still just the same. It was not what they had hoped for it to be. And now tomorrow's Monday. People got to go back to work or back to their own cities. They get back on those prepaid buses, collect their $20 or however much they got, and it'll be forgotten about until, whatever it is. And they'll probably figure something out for the 4th of July. That's coming up in a few more weeks. So, they keep on trying. The public does not like to see that. One thing that I remember years ago that agitated me was when you'd have two politicians, whether it was for city council, mayor, or a congressman, when you have one guy bad mouthing the other guy. Well, he did this and he did that and he wouldn't do this and he would. I never like to listen to that. I want to hear what you're going to do, what programs you're going to put out there. I want to hear the positive stuff. I don't want to hear the negative stuff because everybody's got skeletons in their closet. I don't want to hear it. And this is something that, from years ago, I remember. And now that's all that the Democrats do is bad, bad, bad. And they're even showing themselves to be bad. And they seem to think that it is good, which it's not. It's absolutely crazy. I put up a video today, a short of this one. No, it wasn't a short. It was an actual full video. I think it was 3 minutes of this one fat chick, bald. She was shaved her head, that was pushing back on a bus, screaming and ranting and raving for 3 minutes. I couldn't take much of it. But if you guys get a chance to check it out, look at it. It'll just make your stomach churn. This is what's becoming them. We need our mental institutions. We really do for people like these. Baker Act time all over the place.
We need
literally.
Yeah, I agree. There's it's not an accident that they did that they shut those down. They're like, we need nut cases. But the thing is like the medicine they prescribe these people tends to make them worse. Like, it kind of does. I mean, it's supposed to help, but half the time you'll find out that, who's by the way, who's going to change their 9-volt battery in their smoke detector? And who thinks that Tim Walz had something to do with the, who thinks that Tim Walz might have had his hand in on the jammy? Yeah. It's pretty weird, isn't it?
It's more than weird, and especially coming up in Minnesota. As a matter of fact, there's somebody else in Minnesota who just came forth. I can't think of her name right now. It's a woman, and she is admitting. I think she's in Congress, I believe, and she's admitting that she is an illegal migrant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, she actually came up and said that she actually is legal. That was a publicity stunt.
Yeah, well, she also claims she never said that. But all you have to do is back. It's like they don't realize there is an internet and that everybody has already, passed around the video. It's crazy.
This image I'm showing you, right? This image I'm showing you guys is a big old FU tour bus in a Walmart parking lot. There's another one in front of it. This was shared in North Carolina, by the way. I'm not sure exactly which Walmart this was, but I know the guy who was bringing this stuff out. He's a local here, and I follow him on Facebook. And this is a big FU van. I'm just showing you some imagery of paid protesters being bussed in to make an organic thing. But that chick that done that, by the way, she's running for a seat higher up in Congress, and so nobody really knew much about her. I can't remember now. I did a video on it because I was like, "Hey, Tom Homan," and then it wasn't long after she was like, "Oh well, I was, I didn't," because really she was actually a citizen. She was trying to get on that list and make it where she, we all talked about her, and it got her. Nobody remembers her now. She's going to have to do more crazy stuff, but. These are all people that are just trying to facilitate. Any publicity is better than no publicity. Yeah. What's up, Carrie? Waving a hand. I want to wave a hand. Yep. Yep. Nina. So we got a lot of. Yeah, that dude. There was a. Where was it at here?
What was that thing you were talking about this morning, William? That gal. Was it this morning or yesterday? She was basically talking about what Facebook had been doing. I found that kind of interesting.
Oh yeah. That was the doing psychological experiments to see how they could engineer people's behavior and thoughts through content that was strategically placed in front of them through manipulated algorithms. Yeah. Let's see here. I can.
I also saw. I saw this. Probably. I don't know if it was a professor or. But anyway, a bunch of kids. Room was divided. They gave questions and you had to change the letters around on these words to come up with another word. And one side of the room was given, ones that you could not, that just weren't, you couldn't do it. And the other side were real easy, all except for the last little phrase. And the side that couldn't do it ended up not even doing the last question because of an induced psychological kind of like a depression, like they thought, what the hell, we're not going to get it. Because every time they get one done, should say, okay, raise your hand when you get it done. And all this other side, slowly, all the hands went up, but nobody on this other side. Then they would go on to the next question. And it was just interesting that how it created it defeated the people. Oh, you found it. There it is. Yeah, so it's a psychological. Yeah.
There's a famous Facebook experiment I read about that took place in 2012 and was published in 2014, where they announced that they've achieved mass emotional contagion at scale, which showed that people exposed to it when they altered, so they took 700,000 users or 693,000, I think, without informing them, but because your user agreement does make it whenever you go on the platform, you agree to be tested or A/B testing. So this experiment exposed a group to their news feed was altered in a negative direction emotionally as measured by word counting software. And they discovered that group that had a negative exposure also responded in a more negative way as judged through their posts and likes and responses. The group that was exposed to a more positive news feed by altering the algorithm then had also a measurably statistically significant effect of more positive emotional response, and the control group was unaltered by this.
I talk about this a lot, and and I'm gonna do my thing. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna do my thing. So this is my little one minute rant. I'm gonna try to get it in 1 minute here. Okay.
I know. I found it pretty interesting.
So,
that
so
they were actually,
this is very. Go ahead, Dave, and I'm going to go on my little thing. Go ahead.
They were actually doing this and inducing a response in the people that were on Facebook. That's why I say it was kind of correlated to what the other thing I was talking about.
Like Dave's purposely put a dead battery in that smoke detector to induce a response. He went over there, he took the good battery out and put a dead battery. He's like, I'm going to see if I can induce some. No, not at all. So let's see if I can talk like that woman where my voice is just so somber and so perfect so that I could possibly maybe lay down a little bit of ASMR while I talk. I need a wireframe set of glasses and really long hair that's really kind of crappily done, and I could make myself look a whole lot better, but I'm not going to because I want my message to speak for itself. Okay, so anyways, Facebook, Twitter, any kind of social media is very responsive to algorithmic behavior, and they'll facilitate any means necessary to get the information they need so the algorithm can feed you the content that you supposedly want. Now, think about this in a world of division. What would you do if you constantly saw videos of white people getting beat up by black people? It would probably get you a little bit upset. And if you were a black person and seeing white people constantly getting ahead and acting like white people do, we're so entitled, look at us in our big fancy Chrysler Cordovas, that would piss you off. So anyhow, what that means is it can get a reaction. Now let's look at this. How would this be able to be done? How would they facilitate this? Not only just the fact of what you search, but how you react. Think about an app that you download for your cell phone that gives you a very well and sought out report of your sleep. when you set your phone down on your table, which is feet away from you most of the time, at least 2 feet, maybe 18 inches, depending
Right.
upon where it is, it's able to pick up on your biometric data just from being close by, your breathing rate, your heart rate, other things that are really indicative of your sleep pattern, and it can give you a report. Now, imagine if that phone was in your hand and it can scan your face with infrared technology and see the temperature change in your body, the blood flow move, your micro subconscious facial and eye expressions that are also representative of your state of mind at the time of what you're watching and how you react subconsciously. It would know that this has an effect, and it's whatever favorable for whatever the technology wants to do to society, as engineering it in a very calculated manner.
Well done.
Good job there, Will.
Well done,
Thank
William.
you, sir. I got a thesaurus out, started reading a little bit. And I was like, yeah, tried that.
If I can pop in for a second. I've drawn this up here. The woman I was talking about earlier, she's from Minnesota. Her first name is Kathleen, and this comes from Timcast. And she is the one that says that her father, when he had put in initially, that she is not a legal U.S. citizen, and she is a representative for Minnesota.
Then she came out later and
Really?
said that.
Wow.
Turns out she kind of is. She actually is legal, though. But there was a rebuttal in it because it started to gain traction. I guess I mean, supposedly she's actually legal. I know who you're talking about because I did a video on it. And
yeah, just
but,
the
I
point
mean,
there's so much going on in Minnesota. I mean, literally.
Oh, and Minnesota's where Ella and Omaha.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they filed charges on her, I believe yesterday. No, not yesterday, it's Friday. Whole bunch of things on you. We'll see how it goes.
Supposedly, that guy that assassinated that. I'm sorry, Nina. Go ahead. I will talk in a minute.
I was going to bring that up myself, William. That she was on that hit. She was on that hit list with that guy that assassinated the two.
Right.
Yeah.
What was their?
The guy that was recommended by Waltz, right?
They were in the state House of Representatives, I think, and one of them was like a Speaker Emerita.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So he shot 4
The
people.
Speaker
Two of them are dead. Yes. Yes, and 2 of them are
the
dead.
other
He
was a
shot. He
senator.
went to a different location and shot another one and his wife, and they're both severely injured. And he had a hit list. They found in his car he had a hit list of 70 people, and pretty much all of them Democrats, which I find this very interesting because he was appointed by Tim Walz for the position he had in the Democratic Party. So, you know, I'm like, okay, has he gotten disgruntled with that, which would be understandable with the Democratic Party? I don't know. I did see something today that they found his car abandoned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And neighbors in the area said that they'd heard gunshots. So I'm kind of wondering if there's a possibility that he's committed suicide.
Well,
all this
possibly.
is
We don't know what
manufactured
they have
because it would.
And I'm wondering if all those flyers just went thrown in the car. Just you just nowadays
That's what I'm saying.
You can't believe everything you see, especially if it's being reported so freely.
They found a manifesto.
They found a manifesto. Is that what you said, William?
Yeah, but check this out. I don't trust that a bit. Most people that do stuff don't write anything like that down. Oh, we found a manifesto. Yeah, right.
What's with having one of those? I mean, why is it all of a sudden people, if you got to do this, stuff, got to write a manifesto? That's crazy.
Yeah, these manifestos found are typically written out by the FBI or some kind of investigator to throw in the narrative. This guy that done this, so people forget that a lot of the times you're going to find out that these people have some sort of ties to MK Ultra, This guy was probably set up to do this. The neighbor or the friend, this guy that had a Papa John shirt on, making this fake crying video where he's like, upset because of this happening. It's totally every bit of this is manufactured. They want a Trump supporter to do some crazy stuff like this, and none of us on our side will do this. And so they've got to manufacture these crises. This guy supposedly was in charge of a security firm on top of that, which is quite strange considering the fact is, this is not, if you're in charge, if you're so smart and in charge of a security firm, you know better than to do this kind of crime in this manner to where you can be found out who it is. That, you don't have none of this makes any sense. I think that every bit of this is completely deep state manufactured. There's some MK Ultra going on. There's some, ties to Tim Walz 100% all day long. If they actually look into what's going on, the reasons for the people's unaliving was definitely not due to the fact of them voting outside of their party lines. I promise you this right now. Those people that were unalived probably knew stuff about money laundering going on between USAID, Tim Walz, and his wife, and it goes further up. I talked about this in my earlier live today. Why would they use somebody like Tim Walz, who is a nobody? And if you do find out who this nobody is, he's a complete douchebag, to run for vice president.
Yeah.
That was the wildest thing. Usually, yes, right. So that means that Tim Walz obviously is a patsy all in himself. They wanted that guy to run for vice president because he's so stupid. Like I said this before, yes, Kamala Harris is stupid, but they found somebody even dumber than her, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah,
and with his ties to whoever it was, that
we can't hear you, Nina.
Yep, Nina, and so there's got to be.
Sorry,
I didn't.
So all I was saying was that's the whole reason they picked Kamala Harris to be Biden's running mate, because they wanted somebody who was too not there, the lights on, but nobody's home really. They wanted somebody like that wouldn't interfere with their plans and wouldn't ask too many questions. And for the same reason they picked, now they'll tell you it was Kamala Harris picked him, but it wasn't, I'm sure. They picked for her a guy that would do the same, so that they could keep on running things behind the scenes.
Yeah. And I think we all kind of figured that out. But is it that the Democrats are too lame to see how obvious that looks? I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, if I can see it, why can't they see it? But
even if they do,
go ahead.
They know better than to point out the problems in their party. They know better than that.
Right.
Not because they fear their life, but because they're clinging to power, and that's a threat to their power structure to show its faults, and so they're not going to do that. Yeah.
So
they keep on
there you go.
Yeah.
This is the dude who they said ran through some people at a No Kings protest.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the immediate headlines were like, it's a conservative, it's a Trump supporter. And I'm like, okay, if you think so, you go right ahead. Remember whenever the Pennsylvania, what was it? Yeah, Pennsylvania, that mayor's house was set on fire. And they're like, oh, a conservative did this, a disgruntled Trump supporter, mad about what's going on, and set the mayor's mansion on fire. Come to find out it was a lefty. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I saw the image of the dude that was like, that ain't no Trump supporter. And I'm sitting there thinking, that ain't no Trump supporter right there either. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I could be wrong, but they're trying everything they can to try to manufacture some sort of crisis. There was even somebody that was shot at one of these peaceful protests. They're really, I don't know. And the thing is like the people that are investigating all these crimes are trusted fucking FBI. Sorry about my F word, but I just can't help it sometimes. But I'm like, oh yeah, and well, Kash Patel's heading on. No, Kash Patel does not have control over the FBI. Neither does Dan Bongino. They have already been taken to the side. They have been shown the cliff that they'll push them off if they even attempt to step outside of the lines of what they want to do to try to expose what's going on. And you've seen that when they said Epstein, oh, it looks like Epstein. Yeah, definitely was a self-inflicted skirmish. And they're like, and then, goes on Rogan. Is like, well, how did he have his neck broken in 3 places with paper sheets? Oh, I didn't even see that. I didn't see the medical report, says Cash Patel. I'm like, Cash Patel, you talked about all this already. You were like on your podcast, all the talking points of that one specific thing of like, how does somebody's neck get broken 3 places with paper sheets? And then it shows an image of his neck all jacked up where it looks like somebody had put one of those cords around it to choke him out. It's like, well, I didn't even see that. I didn't know nothing about that. Oh, come on, Cash Patel. Now, either somebody told you that they're going to get you and your whole family, or that Epstein's in witness protection, and now you can't say what you want to say. Something.
Mm-hmm.
Something.
So, does anybody think that
nobody cares about people?
Does anybody think that the North Carolina state representative who held up an effigy of a decapitated Trump and Stephen Miller with a swastika on his head, anybody think that's going to get investigated like a threat to the president?
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, they argue freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the Democrats keep doing so much of this garbage every single day, something different, and nothing's happening to them so far.
Yeah, if that had happened, if somebody on the right had done that with head of Biden or Obama or something, you can imagine how the screaming that would be happening and how they would be investigated with a SWAT team at their door. A SWAT team showing up at their door, and they would be going to jail.
Everybody that would like toss the idea around was like, we don't really want anything to happen to Biden, because if that's the case, they put Kamala in. that was the one thing that was so funny about they're like, everybody's like, man, I wish Biden would just check out, like, just because he's old and decrepit and he's dementia. Why don't you just have a checkout moment? We're like, but dang, if that happens, then we got Kamala Harris. Impeach Biden. Wait a minute. No, hold on a minute. We got Kamala Harris. I mean, that was the left is like.
She was more protection for him than anyone realized.
Yeah. And so, but and here's the deal with what the imagery we're looking at of this North Carolina state representative, who obviously is insinuating who we think it is. The little puppets don't look enough like Trump. Neither one do. It's supposed to be Trump and Vance, but they got it where it's just not close enough. You can't. It is not. And to me,
I understood it was supposed to be Trump and Stephen Miller. And the one with the swastika is supposed to be Stephen Miller, who, by the way, is Jewish. That's Trump's head of staff.
Oh, yeah. Well, so either way, they're just not close. To me, they're just not. We all know what she's talking about, but it's not a close enough representation of the puppet of Trump. It's just not. I mean, so she can argue, well, that's not Trump at all. Well, then who is it? She could just be like, it's just a metaphor, because whatever. But this is we all know what she meant. I mean, it's right there. And this is North Carolina state. North Carolina's in a lot of trouble.
It was the line she said when she presented it. There may need to be some cuts made. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the thing. But the thing about it is like, North Carolina is in a very precarious position because there was a long battle for the Supreme Court justice seat, and the conservative Jefferson should have won that seat. They were able to count a bunch of ballots that just weren't good. They weren't good. They weren't legitimate, allegedly. Court says, even the court said they're not legitimate, but you have to count them because of such and such and such and such. Well, right now there's a lawsuit going on that's between the GOP something and the Supreme Court of North Carolina that has to do with this. But what people don't realize is when they do redistricting and they want to do certain kind of voter laws, this is where your state Supreme Court is a very intricate part of all that. And if you've got a bunch of lefty judges on there, that Allison Riggs chick, whose last name just happens to be Riggs, ironically, who's going to be now sitting in that position, is going to make sure a green light is on for all of the necessary shenanigans for the next midterms when it comes to mail-in voting. Will not enforce the voter ID laws that are on the board. And all that stuff will be in favor of the Democrats because they're really working hard to move North Carolina into a blue state. And they were a red state, but borderline. I mean, just barely. And it's not even like that in real life. You just have, you just got, and I just feel like we're, I don't know what we're going to do if we go blue, because we're going to be just like Colorado and California and all the other Arizona places, all these awful places that are just absolutely riddled with crime, deterioration of infrastructure, and
well, you did notice that all these marches were performed in mostly blue cities, or I would say all blue cities, really. Probably because there's the least amount of, because even though you're a red state, there are blue cities within the red states,
True.
Yeah. Yep. The county I live in, the sheriff that we have was a Democrat for pretty much his whole life up until he switched to Republican to win, and nobody did the research and they elected him. And I mean, he's a local, so everybody kind of knows him, but that's not a good thing. Not a good thing. And so is the district attorney here, by the way. The acting district attorney, DA in this county, he was a Democrat pretty much lifelong, switched to Republican, then got elected. And just not good. Not good at all.
Stop and think about this, though.
That whole party switching thing.
Yeah, but stop and think about this.
I'm listening.
Look at all the people in the top tier of our government right now. How many of them 10 years ago were Democrat? And then they switched to Republican or switched to independent.
Because they could see which way the trend was going. They wanted to be part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe so. But all I'm saying
That's what I think. They go with the flow,
Some of them do, but a lot of them are actually more moderates that had been Democrats because that's the way their city voted or their family had always voted or whatever. And now, but eventually, as they're all starting to say, I didn't leave the Democratic Party. They left me. They changed so radically and I couldn't stand them anymore. And they all started going over to the Republican Party or becoming independent. So now,
pardon me. What would you think it would be like if we didn't have parties like that?
If we didn't have parties like the Democrat Party or like the Republican Party?
If we didn't have a party division, right, at all, no parties, you just voted for, and you would have to look into the person's past, their qualifications, and all that stuff,
honestly, I think there'd be a lot more people. Yeah, I think there'd be a lot fewer people voting because a lot of people are not interested enough in politics to go do the homework and find out about the people that they're voting for. Instead, they just look to see, okay, what does that party represent as far as I know? And then they end up voting, whether they like it or not, they end up voting for what they think that party represents. And that's why the Democrats kept having so many people voting for them for so many years, because they didn't know how they had shifted. All you had to do was look at their party platform.
Right. It just slowly, it's like frogs boiling over hot water. Just slowly changed. They didn't notice.
My parents voted Democrat up until I think the late 1990s. And then my dad started saying, you know what? I just couldn't take it anymore. He said, I was a yellow dog Democrat. And I asked him, well, what does that mean, Dad? Because, at the time I didn't know what that even meant. And he said, well, I'm not certain, but I always thought that it was something like the old yellow dog who used to sleep under your porch. It was a stray. It didn't even belong to you, but
you fed
They
it
were
because
dedicated.
you know, and you were loyal to it. Or, well, he said,
Right.
so I felt like we were those yellow dogs to the Democrats, that they
Didn't know
threw
any
us some bones every now and again, but they didn't treat us like we were theirs or like we were any kind of important at all. And he said, but we stuck around because they were the only ones throwing us bones. But he said, after a while, I just couldn't take it anymore. I said, no, I see what they're supporting, what they're representing, and it's not what they used to represent. It's not what they used to support, or at least what they said they used to. And I just can't be for this anymore. And that's what scads of Democrats have been saying for the last 10 years. The Democrat Party has gone out in literally left field, so far out in left field that nobody can go join them out there. They're like, no, this is defies reason, defies common sense. We can't go there anymore. We're going to have to leave the Democrat Party.
And then here comes Jasmine Crockett. I got it. I get in there. I do that. Thanks, Jasmine.
Ghetto girl.
Yeah. So what is it? Here we go. What's this dude talking about?
I shot me in the nuts, and now I'm losing a ball. Surgery is tomorrow.
The peaceful protester got shot in the nuts by it.
Oh.
Yeah, he got shot in the nuts by a rubber bullet. Now he's losing one of them.
Apparently, they were aiming because there's another guy saying the same thing. Looks completely different.
Well, I mean,
is it this guy?
What are they worried about? It's like, you know, what? Oh, no, I can't have a baby to abort.
Yes.
Well,
now this guy.
Yeah.
Let's see.
They call him old wood nut, but I'm just saying, like, I gotta have babies to abort. We need to be able to scoop these things out and throw them in the trash.
Move back.
Is this the same
But
guy,
I'm still,
but
like,
with his
picking
head
myself up,
shaved?
my backpack, my bike, and then they just push me. And I'm just instinct. I tell the cop, like, don't push me. I'm
But
already
anyway,
moving back.
Pretty boring. He just said he got shot in the groin too. So
It looks like a different dude because that one guy had his nose had one of those bull rings that, you know, I said now the bull ring is a red flag, just like big stupid glasses that these people wear. You know, and here we've got them both. We've got a bull ring and a pair of big stupid glasses. But you know, you got all these videos of these content creators, especially females. They'd be like, they'll do their hair. They get their eyes all prettied up, makeup and everything. And then they go, wait a minute, hold on, I'm missing something. And they go and get the biggest, stupidest pair of glasses that makes sure the lens hangs way down over here. And they're like, then they do their lips all out. Excuse me, I don't like Trump. I'm like, stupid. Like, you know, could you imagine like your friend says, I know this girl who wants to go out on a date. Or better yet, like, you know, I met this girl. She's got a friend. Can you meet us at there so that she's not, you know, just by herself, you know? And you walk into the whatever your restaurant you're at, and there's this woman sitting there with these big ass stupid glasses. You know, I mean, mind you, she's probably wouldn't be a bad looking girl. You know, got a decent body. You know, nice, you know, figure and all that stuff. But then when you look in there and you're like, oh crap, big stupid glasses and a bullnose ring, you need to leave. You need to move. You need to get away from that as quickly as possible. It's a rule of thumb that you do not fall for socialist bazooms. Don't do it. I'm only being really PG because Nina's here. Nina, otherwise I would use words that are a lot more graphic. But I'm just saying, don't fall for this.
Yeah.
But this is
What
the
about
thing.
me? My ears are
and you know, yeah. Well, John's got just normal glasses, and I think what's Nina wearing? Regular glasses. I can't
they're
tell.
regular to me. They're the only ones I have.
Yeah, see, those are normal. Like, if you wanted to be a lefty, you got to pierce your nose and put really big. You got such a pretty face, Nina.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're talking to me. Thank you.
Yeah, no, John, no, it's not nothing's working.
John.
But anyhow, there's just something about that. Like, and when a dude gets his nose pierced like that, like, I mean, come on, dude, and not good. So, we're doing the world a favor, guys. Whoever's shooting these dudes in the nuts, good job. Need rapid fire, get them both. But these people, like these peaceful protesters, something else.
Mostly peaceful.
Yeah. Mostly peaceful. Yeah.
Yeah, mostly peaceful.
I don't know.
Oh, there's an earthquake in Iran.
What'd you say?
There's an earthquake.
Oh, I was reading what Nancy said.
Oh,
2.5.
That's a little.
I was going to say 2.5
Yeah, that's kind of-
is, I mean, that
For,
could be,
for somebody that's from California, that's small.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, does anybody remember? Okay, I'm gonna. This is a throwback, but this is at one of these No Kings rally. This guy, Democrat Representative Hank Johnson. Does that ring a bell? Anybody? Hank Johnson?
Sounds
Yes.
familiar. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. All right, wait a minute.
Here to tell you today, ladies and gentlemen, that the threat is real. We must address it. We're doing so today. We're doing so today in Atlanta. We're doing so across the country. We're doing so in Washington, D.C.
You couldn't remember.
And by the way, how many of y'all are pulling for rain this evening? People across the country of goodwill are doing what we need to do in order to save our democracy. And so
They've got a gay old bald dude. If I'm not mistaken, my gaydar is going off, but they got a gay old bald dude. Okay, Hank Johnson. He's at these No Kings rally protest. This is the same guy who's like, Guam is going to tip over.
Island
That's the
that
guy.
at its widest level is 12 miles from shore to shore, and at its smallest level or smallest location, it's
that's the day they were doing the movie on
miles
that.
between one
He's
shore and
high
the
as
other.
shit. He was smoking a
Is that
bunch of weed
correct?
before he got.
I don't have the exact dimensions, but to your point, sir, I think Guam is a small island.
Very
relatively.
small island and about 24 miles, if I recall, long. So 24 miles long, about 7 miles wide
They're going-
at
they're
the
going
least
tip right off into
widest place on the island, and about 12 miles wide on the widest part of the island. And I don't know how many square miles that is. Do you happen to know?
I don't have that figure with me, sir. I can certainly supply it to you if you'd like.
Yeah, my fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
Yeah,
guy's in Congress.
See, that was from that's from that damn pot that they were smoking earlier. I'm telling you.
Yep.
'Cause
But,
when
yeah,
they were all in the
I mean,
back
I don't
talking,
disagree.
He kept saying, "Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll bring it up."
No words for that.
That's how I would be if I was smoking the weed. You get real I mean, he really does sound like he had smoked a bunch of weed before he came out there, and he's like, I'm going to be
That's
so.
what I said.
But the thing is he legitimately thought that island was floating. He thinks that islands float. He doesn't realize they're connected to tectonic plates. They're just like, he really thought that island literally floated and that it would capsize. That's what his dude's.
Well,
and he's in
you
Congress.
need to hook up to it, pull it closer to land, pull it into a safe harbor.
Okay. I
See,
think
now that's the thing, Dave. Dave, what would have been perfect is if, like, say for instance, when this hearing was going on, if I was that military officer guy, I would have been like, dude, that's a great point, man. And just to F with him, and be like, well, what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and hook to it with some boats. We'll pull it inland. And was that fix it? And a guy was like, just feed into it. But the officer at the end of that kind of like,
pull it in where it's real shallow.
But that would have been the perfect response. Yeah. You ain't got to worry about that, sir, because what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and hook to it. We're going to pull it inland a little bit so it won't be, so in such deep waters, it should stabilize it. What do you think about that? That sounds like a pretty good idea. I mean, but go ahead, Nina. Sorry.
I was just thinking, I don't know what he was doing the whole time he was in school. I'm assuming he went to school,
smoking weed,
graduated from somewhere, but I know all of his teachers were cringing because I carry
playing with My Ding-a-Ling, Chuck Berry's song, My Ding-a-Ling. That's what he was playing with.
Oh, that's going on.
Stopped off in the vestibule.
Dude, let me see something here. Who was that? Victoria Jackson. Remember her? Was that who I'm thinking of? That representative, Victoria Jackson. She passed away now. Let's see here. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I got that right. Let me see here, because I want to show you a throwback. Lunar eclipse. And meanwhile,
was this the Dodgers stadium here?
Are you talking about where those dudes were kidding? Oh, that. Oh, no. Oh, that's right. My screen is still up. My bad. It's still up? Is my screen still up? Wait a minute.
Spanish.
Sorry about this. Here we go.
That's me going right now.
I found it. Here we go. Look. Here's Victoria Jackson at the lunar eclipse. And this was an active member of Congress. This is how stupid these people are.
Oh, I remember I couldn't believe it. That's an authority.
Help her out, bro.
Just act like you can see.
She screams in the microphone, just act like you can see.
Just act like you can see.
Wait a minute.
Like you can see.
Yeah. Just act like you can see.
There's another part to that where she was talking about what was happening and so forth, and she was like way off base about the eclipse.
Yeah.
Which I thought that's
wait a minute. Hold on. What? Moon made of gas. Let's see if I can pull this one up. She's going to give you a collegial explanation. Sheila Lee Jackson, not Victoria.
Yes, I was going to say.
I don't know. Let's see.
Energy of the moon at night provide unique light and energy so that you have the energy of the moon at night. And sometimes you've heard the word full moon. Sometimes you need to take the opportunity just to come out and see a full moon is that complete rounded circle, which is made up mostly of gases.
That's what I was talking about. I couldn't believe If I was there, I would have gone up
And that's
to the
why
podium and said,
the question is why
everybody.
or how could we as humans
Sorry about that. Yeah, go ahead, Dave. Yeah, but she just. I hear. Yeah, it gets worse.
live on the
Well, it's
moon?
all that gas.
The gas is such
People-
a rounded circle, which is made up mostly of gases. And that's why the question is why or how could we as humans live on the moon? The gas is such that we could do that. The sun is a mighty powerful heat that is almost impossible to go near the sun. The moon is more manageable, and you will see in a moment, or not a moment, you'll see in a couple of years that NASA is going back to the moon.
Now, Nina, what
She
would your
passed
dad
away.
think about that statement?
I'm sorry, Dave, what'd you say?
What would your go back? What would your dad think of that statement if he was able to see, a leader
Oh,
talking like
goodness.
that?
My dad
Oh, my
probably wouldn't be
God.
able to speak for laughing so hard
Yeah.
at that. And he would probably be thinking, I can't believe anyone is voting for her.
Yeah. How can you be in government and be
So many
think
of
that
them
way?
like that. There's so many of them.
Yeah. I guess.
I mean, just
guess
listen to AOC.
we put too much into the position. Yeah. And we expect more than what we're really getting.
Do you know
That's
that
for sure.
she, at the time when she was in office, she had a staffer that was working for her, and she cussed him out so bad that he committed suicide. Like he was already kind of mental and stuff. And then when she went, there was a recording of her going off on this guy. And she it was a black guy too, by the way. And she called him so many names, stupid and all this stuff, that this dude, like a week later, committed suicide. Do you remember that?
I do. Yeah.
She was and she was crazy. Let's see. Staffer commits. Let's see. Wait, I'm gonna put there. Wait a minute. Cussed out staffer. Let's see if I can find that. This is just some of the people that are. This is how they are. Sheila Lee, profanity laced. Okay, here it is. I don't know if this is gonna go well. Nina, cover your ears. I think it might be.
Here's Nina.
Like where it's not like gonna. Here we go.
You took a piece of paper from that woman regarding something that was over at Duncan Tail. Where is it? What date was it?
Oh, from yesterday. Jerome took it upstairs. I have to call him. He took it up when I switched out the paper. I'll call him as soon as he gets there.
I don't want you to do a goddamn thing. I want you to have a fucking brain. I want you to have read it. I want you to say, Congresswoman, it was such and such date. That's what I want. That's the kind of staff that I want to have. So some stupid other motherfucker did it, and I don't have the information. Nobody sent me the information. I need to ensure my schedule. And if Boo did it, shit ass did it, fuckface did it.
She goes off. Representative Sheila Lee Jackson, your memory will always be that lady. She's passed away, bless her heart. But let me tell you something. I'll never forget that. I will always, for my whole life, never forget Sheila Lee Jackson and some of the antics that she's just going to be missed. I don't know what we're going to do without her, because who's going to be? That guy committed suicide like a week later. He was like,
we have AOC now.
Yeah.
She's got a place.
Well, yeah. Some of the older ones are, slowly fading. We got, what is her name? Waters and a couple other.
Yeah.
It's very similar, but they're getting of age that they're not going to be there much longer.
Well, the COVID jabs, I think, is what knocked out Sheila Jackson. I think she took a bunch of them, and that shortened her lifespan significantly, because she was old, but not that old, and she just died suddenly. That we've seen a lot of, in that era. So that's probably a lot to do with it too. And so, it's funny how the universe sort of balances itself out.
Yeah, it does. Well, we're just about top of the hour. Of course, see, whenever William's on here, we always go pretty much an hour. So I appreciate you coming
It's
in.
easy
Liam.
to do.
It's always,
Yeah, I
it's
missed
always
yesterday. I
fun
mean,
to-
last week's.
yeah, we had a good show last week. It was pretty good. We had Jen and Lisa and Lena. So, yep. All right, guys. Well,
there's been a lot of
I
big
wanna
home
thank
projects
Nancy
going on. And stuff.
and Carrie and what was that? DB for all the comments.
DB.
We appreciate you
Nancy.
guys. See if there's anybody else I missed. They were real vocal tonight. So, all righty, guys. Well, we're going to get out of here. And we'll see you next week. We don't know who's going to be on, but we'll see you next week.